Are we hot? All right, everybody. Welcome to the last day, Sunday, here at the 2026 Spring Expo in Toronto. My name is Jeremy Lee. I'm the host of Sports Cards Live, YouTube, and podcast. And I am joined here today by Maple Leafs legend, Curtis Joseph. Welcome, Curtis Joseph, everybody. Curtis, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and nice intro. Thank you for that.
Well, we're back here in Toronto. It's playoff season in the NHL, and you certainly had some playoff battles in your day. What's it like for you as an ex-Maple Leaf goaltender to be, even though they're not in it this year, what's it like to you? How do you take in the NHL playoffs now that you're retired?
Well, it's my favorite time of year. Clearly, I love watching the first round is my favorite. I love the matchups. I love the upsets. I watch the goalies closely and feel for them. I know the pressure they're under, and some more than others. And I like to see some heroic games, and I love to see goalies steal games and series. And that's one of my favorite things to watch.
You know, goalies are obviously known for having their sort of their idiosyncrasies at times, their rituals, those sorts of things. Do those things sort of ramp up in the playoffs for goaltenders?
Oh yeah, the higher the pressure, the more intense you get, the more superstitions that if you had some, they intensify, and I wouldn't call superstitions. I would call like kind of a rituals or things to get you prepared and the right mindset to play well. So anything you can do to play well in the playoffs, you do it.
Now, you and I, we had the pleasure of sitting down in Edmonton just a couple months ago and having a similar discussion. But here we are in Toronto. What is it like being back amongst the fans? You're going to be signing some autographs in the autograph pavilion shortly. How do you enjoy these times when the fans get to come out and have some time with you?
Well, this is a huge show with lots of people, so great energy here. Great displays. I like walking around and seeing, all the stuff, and these are hardcore hockey fans. So you're in amongst your people. They appreciate what you did with the Maple Leafs, and it's always fun to be here and greet the fans.
Back in the day during your career, you spent a lot of time battling Dominik Hasek, whether it was for Vezina trophies or leading the league in wins, and then you went into Detroit and you took over for him there. What was it like going from a competitor with Dominik Hasek to being his successor?
Well, Dom was one of the greatest goalies I've ever seen, obviously, and trying to get a Vezina in those years when he was playing is slim. It's like trying to get a Norris trophy when Bobby Orr's around, it's not going to happen. But no, I get to watch him in practice every day, and he really knew how to stop the puck. He was an incredible athlete. He knew the position well, and he knew where the puck was at all times. So he was fun to watch up close.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were playing, I like to ask various players who were they, especially goaltenders, if anybody specifically sort of had your number, or if there was any player when you were playing who you knew this guy's a goal scorer, but you had his number. What comes to mind for you when I ask you that question?
Well, it's funny you ask, because my kids ask me that, and I have 3 sons that are older now, and they are hockey aficionados also, and they're like, I think it may have came up on TV, and they look at me and said, "Dad, who owned you?" And I was like, "Oh, well, nobody owned me. I know who I owned. Those are good memories, but nobody owned me." And then, of course, in my head, I'm thinking of I have a Rolodex of guys scoring on me. And they said, "Dad, well, why don't we just look it up?" And so they get the computer out, and they get on the computer, and they're like, "Wow, Teemu Selanne. He clearly owns you, Dad." And I'm like, now I'm thinking, all those breakaways and all those. So, we're playing an outdoor game. I got to play in an outdoor game in Winnipeg when I was retired, and Gretzky had asked me to play goal because Furzy was hurt and Moog was hurt. So, of course, you never say no to Wayne Gretzky. And I'm playing in this game, and I got the short straw, so I got to play the third period after sitting on the bench the whole time. And Teemo's newly retired and flying around. I think he's got 5 goals in the game, and it's in the football stadium. And Winnipeg fans just want to see a win against the Oilers.
Yeah.
They just want to see Mark Messier lose. They want to see Gretzky lose. And So I'm playing in net, and I'm trying my best, not to make Wayne or Mark Messier lose. And anyway, haven't let a goal in from Teemu yet. And 3 seconds left in the game. I'm scot-free. And Craig Simpson trips Teemu Selanne in front of their net. Penalty shot. I'm like, oh, no. Craig Simpson skates down to me, and he goes, Cujo, sorry. I'm like... So Teemo's got about 5 goals in the game. He's flying around, and he made a couple of great dekes to score on breakaways. So I'm guarding against the deke because, I've just seen it. And he quick shots me at the hash marks, hits the post, and goes in. And it's a fun game. You're not supposed to be upset. And I'm like, damn, got me again. Anyway, we lose, and I feel terrible that we lost, and I hate to let Wayne down. And so I go back in the locker room sweating and sit down in my seat, and my phone starts buzzing. And so I pick up my phone and look at it, and it's my middle son. He goes, still owns you, Dad. It must have been on TV, and he had watched it on TV. So that's my Teemu Selanne story, and... he's a great guy, and couldn't be a better guy that owns me.
That's amazing. Is there anybody that you really felt that you did own, though, on the flip side of it?
Well, it'd have to be a playoff series. In the Edmonton days, I wouldn't say own, but had good playoffs against, like the Dallas Stars, maybe Mike Modano, or, certainly didn't own Joe Sakic or anybody like that. But if you could get the best of them, at least bat 500 in against them, those guys on breakaways, you felt like you were doing your job. So, in Edmonton, we had beat Dallas. It was David and Goliath type of situation. Same with Colorado. We ended up beating Colorado in a 7-game series after being down 3-1. So that's not ownership, but it's definitely satisfaction.
You're coming out happy from that one, for sure. When you watch the elite goal scorers of today, the Connor McDavids, the Auston Matthews, what sort of stands out to you as to what makes guys like that so hard to stop these days?
Well, I see their creativity, and it was always a chess match when you're playing against the best players in the world, and they don't do the same thing twice. You see Auston Matthews score sometimes along the ice, and you're like, oh, it's such a great shot, because he's in, and you think you're going to go high, and he'll quick shot you along the ice, and it's going 100 miles an hour, and he catches the goalie before he goes down. I'm like, that's a great goal. That's a goal scorer's goal. So I appreciate the way, they score goals. Same with Connor, the moves he'll make at such high speed is very hard to do. So I admire the creativity of some of these scorers. On breakaways, back in the day, Pavel Datsyuk, you had to tip your hat and go, this guy is hard to stop because you cannot read him, and he's never going to do the same thing twice. So those guys are a step above, the other great players. So I really watch for that and enjoy it.
Let's talk about the Leafs for a moment. Not in the playoffs this year. They have, I think, some work to do ahead to get back to where they'd like to be.
Sure.
When you watch the Leafs in the last season or two, what do you think they need to do to really take a step forward here and challenge for a Stanley Cup?
Well, you can see it's a fine line between winning and losing. And when you're over that line, you just keep winning. And then sometimes you'll have an injury, a key injury on defense, and we had that this year. And that will really set you back. And then it kind of catapults. You get a couple injuries, maybe a lost guy to free agency that you didn't think was a big deal. And it turned out, you really missed that guy. So, but you can the good news is you can get that back just as quick with a great signing or, somebody who gets hot. Obviously, Auston was hurt this year. So it was a culmination of a lot of different things for the Leafs that had to get them under that line. And you see it with Florida, too. Two teams that were dominant for so many years, and they've got under that winning line, but you can get it back just as quick. So I'm optimistic that the Leafs will make the right moves and get that back.
Well, don't know if it's official yet, but I'm hearing that Matt Sundin might be stepping into a VP position, Chayka coming in as a new GM. I don't know if this is for sure or not. I saw something on it today, if anybody knows. But what are your thoughts on sort of these front office moves? And I guess what I really want to hone in on is your ex-teammate, Matt Sundin, moving into a management position.
Right. Yeah, it's a hypothetical question at this point, but an optimistic one. And if Matt's was in a leadership role, I think would be great because, you need the guys who are analytics. You need the guys who do the homework, the scouts, the great. But, if you're a player and you walk into a meeting with Matt's, it's a different story. He's than somebody who does analytics for the team. Matt's is 6'5". He's done it all. He's won gold. He's on the world stage. He's been the captain of the Leafs forever. Now, when you sit down with Matt and he goes, hey, what's your year going to be like? What do you want to accomplish with the Leafs? It's a different feeling, and it's a different sense of urgency. So I think it would be great for the Leafs because they don't have that right now. And, I think it would be a good move. And from a PR standpoint, it's a no-brainer, right?
I don't know if you can answer this, but is there a difference the way players respect or look at coaches or GMs for their teams when those individuals used to play in the league versus not playing in the league? And I ask because of what you just said about Matt Sundin. It's a different conversation. So how is it for players when they're playing and I think of when Wayne Gretzky was coaching in Arizona. Is it at all different in the dressing room when the coach used to be a player?
1,000%. You see it these days with Martin St. Louis and Rod Brind'Amour. How does Carolina win every year and they change players? And to me, I've known Rod forever, and he is so well respected for being a captain, winning cup, his workout. You look at his body and you go, I got to respect this guy. He's the most physically fit guy on our team, even though he's the coach and 55 years old. Same with Martin St. Louis. They just bring that air of class and winning just by walking in the room. And Matt's has that. Not everybody has that, but Matt's has that. And you see it with a great example of Martin St. Louis and Rod Brind'Amour. They just get the most out of people because you want to go through walls for those kind of people.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about collectibles. We are here at the Sports Card and Memorabilia Expo here, the spring version 2026. There's a lot of people walking around here buying up sports cards. I've had people ask me today if I had any Curtis Joseph cards that they could get autographed in line. What about yourself? Do you have any pieces of memorabilia from your own career or any of your players that you either looked up to, heroes, or played against, teammates? What do you have in your own memorabilia or card collection, Curtis?
Yeah, I have maybe a dozen sticks of ex-players like Mario Lemieux and Bobby Hull. I have an old Bobby Hull stick, and I have sticks are cool to me. They tell you how the guy played, and that's all I look at too when I played is the stick because that's where the puck is. So I also have a Wayne Gretzky Olympic stick because I sat beside him in the Olympics, and we lost. To the Finns, and I was like, hey, Wayne, do you mind if I get a stick? And he gave me a stick, and his stick is cool for the Olympics because in the top is the Olympic rings that are like branded into the top of the stick. Of course, his stick is, got all those special features. It's like a Ferrari. So I have a few things like that, and I see my cards, but I don't know how many cards I have, and I have an interesting story. Like I never know how much they are, but I would like to have a card collection. But anyway, I got stopped by the security guy in the airport, in the Toronto airport the other day. And he's walking with me, and he's talking to me about cards. He's a collector. And anyway, he's walking with me. He goes, hey, I have one of your cards. And I go, oh, you got one of my cards? Okay. And then now I'm thinking of the different cards. And he goes, yeah, this card I paid $10,000 for. And I'm like, wow, you're serious. Anyway, I think he said $10,500 to be exact. He goes, I'm going to show you the card. So he pulls up on his phone, and I'm like, one of my cards is $10,000. Like, that's crazy. What's wrong with it? Did Wayne touch it, or did Wayne own it first? So anyway, he shows me, and it's a front and back card, and it has a piece of jersey in it front and back, and it's the NHL logo front and back. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is one of one cards, because it may be an Upper Deck card. They send me cards sometimes to the house. And so that's probably what it was, but it's 10,500. I'm like, whoa. And it was signed. But and then another story about cards, since we're here. So Upper Deck will send me cards to the house every once in a while. And, sometimes there's 5 cards. It's a piece of jersey or a piece of stick that you've used, and which is really cool. And I make sure I have a great autograph on there. But one time I got a card, and it had me and Marty Brodeur and Patrick Waugh on it. I was like, ooh, this is pretty good. Yeah. And there was only 5 cards, and those guys had already signed it. So they probably do that on purpose, thinking I won't ask for one of those cards. But I did. I'm like, hey, I'm keeping one of these cards, just so you know. Because if it goes the other way, probably Patrick's like, I'm taking 2 of these. And they don't have anything to say. So, so I have one of those cards of myself, Patrick, and Marty.
Well, that's very cool. The NHL patch card, those are game-used shields from your jerseys that they've acquired and put in there, and those are among the most desirable cards in the hobby. So, congratulations on having a 5-figure card. That's big time.
Yeah, there you go. Pretty cool, right?
Right on. Well, you've got a lot of people waiting in line to sign some autographs for, so we will wrap this up. But thank you for your time here at the Expo and telling a couple of great stories. Yeah. It's a pleasure as always, Curtis.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.